away from Election Day, 10 weeks from the caucuses in Iowa that happened on January the 15th, and a week away from the third GOP debate down in Miami, Florida. It is flying, isn't it?
Well, meanwhile, certain candidates are shaking up the race, leading us to wonder where the race for the Oval Office goes from here.
Yes, joining us now for more pollster from McLaughlin and Associates in the Trump 2024 campaign, Jim McLaughlin and former Georgia Congressman and Colonel of the U.S. Air Force Reserves, Doug Collins. Great to have you both in the building today. A lot to talk about. Jim, one of your polls has Donald Trump leading the Republican primary field now by 55%. It's a huge number, considering that people haven't even started voting yet. And then the Des Moines Register poll came out yesterday morning, dark and early. It's got Trump gaining. So he picked up a point since the last time they polled in Iowa, and that was August. With everything going on, a lot of people said no, he's going to drop in Iowa. And what I thought was fascinating, Nikki Haley now tied with Ron DeSantis. If Trump wins Iowa, New Hampshire, is this over?
I think it's probably over now.
The nomination battle?
I think it's probably over now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying that. You know, it's been very interesting. You've even seen somebody like Steve Daines, who is Mitch McConnell's head of the senatorial committee. He said this race is over. And by the way, when we asked Republican primary voters in our most recent survey, which you can see on the Newsmax blog, we asked them whether or not they should continue debates or whether Republicans should rally around Donald Trump. 78% want people to rally around Donald Trump because they want to beat Joe Biden, and they know he's the best candidate to beat Joe Biden. And look what's going on right now. The Democrats know it. That's why they're trying to get him thrown off the ballot in a swing state like Colorado.
Good point.
Congressman, a Gallup poll puts Joe Biden's approval rating at 37%. 37%. How does the White House spend this?
Badly.
Yeah. Courage up here trying.
What do you do?
Well, I mean, let's do what the White House actually does. Well, you know, I was watching football on Saturday, and we're going to talk about all this, and we've been very firm that football is really good, and Joe Biden's really good on football. Does that answer your question?
Right.
I mean, that's the way they do it. I mean, again, they're having to deny, they're having to look at it. They know they have a problem. I mean, let's just be honest. They know they have a problem. They have a president who has trouble, you know, doing the basic things of Halloween, you know, giving Halloween candy out. So, I mean, you just saw that the other night. But the bigger problem is they have nowhere to go. This is the problem that they can't address, because if they kick him out, it looks bad, and they don't want to elevate the vice president because that's even worse. And then you've got Gavin Newsom running over kids in basketball games in China.
Did you see that?
That was a charge, by the way. The kids' feet were set. They were set. Yeah. I mean, he should have got it. Then he shoots one. But, you know, and he has his, you know, all of his suits pressed to be the stand-in. What's interesting is the Democrats and Republicans both have an interesting issue here. Democrats don't know what to do with their president on what's going to go into this election. Republicans have people running for president who are simply waiting to see if something happens to Donald Trump. Now, think about that. For DeSantis, Haley, and some of these guys, now they may say, well, we have a vision for America. I get it. But what they're really doing is waiting because they have no polling idea to get anywhere. They're just waiting to see if something happens to Donald Trump. So in some ways, both parties are waiting.
So you're saying that the race for number 2 right now, as it currently stands, is a race for number 1 if something happens to Trump.
That's the only thing.
And right now, that race is
I mean,
Nikki Haley and
it's not
Ron
taking anything
DeSantis.
personal away from him. I mean, I'm not saying, but at the same point, Donald Trump is right there is going to win this. It's not an issue. I mean, he's up in Georgia, he's up in everywhere else. He's up, you know, in these polls showing. Yeah. But so if you were sitting in the DeSantis camp, and you're going backwards. I mean, this is not a reverse race. This is supposed to be going forward race, and you're going backwards in polling. And I love how the media has also said, you know, Nikki Haley's making these massive jumps. Well, from 1 to 4 is not a massive jump, and 8 to 16. Okay, but again, this is where it's at. It's Trump's to lose, and he's not going to, and the Democrats are dealing with it.
And then, Jim, that News Nation poll. I didn't know they did polling, by the way. You've been in the polling business for 30-plus years. Everyone's like, did you see News Nation? But I thought it was fascinating because they've got Democrats. Joe Biden lost 11 points with Democrats in his own party, poll to poll. How does that happen?
It's easily. Because
a war in Israel, a war in Ukraine.
When you have World War III going on right now, which wasn't going on before, you've got inflation the way it is, you've got crime, you've got open borders. He's hurting in his base. In our most recent poll, what we're seeing is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is doing what he's doing. He gets about 10% of the Biden voters from 2020 that they have buyer's remorse, and they know that Donald Trump was a significantly better president than what Joe Biden was. It's about 10% of the electorate and could be climbing. And he's getting these votes among Hispanics, among young people, literally going right into Joe Biden's base right now. And you make the point, too, about, you know, the press is trying to say, oh, look at Nikki Haley. Oh, but if you add up in that Iowa poll, you add up all of Nikki Haley's votes, you add up Ron DeSantis' votes, Donald Trump is still up by double digits. Right. And by the way, 2/3 of the Iowa caucus voters are telling you that they would consider Donald Trump. He's way up among conservatives. He's way up among seniors. He's way up among born-again evangelical Christians. It's his race right now.
Yep.
Great point. By the way, just 10 seconds. Can Trump beat Gavin Newsom?
I can tell you this.
Have you polled that?
I know Gavin Newsom. He can. Donald Trump can definitely play basketball better than Gavin Newsom can. You got to keep his head up. And he can only go to his left.
Look at that. There it is. Okay. Yep. Thinks he's part of the Harlem Globetrotters. Any flagrant offensive foul right here. Great D by this little Chinese boy. What?
His feet were set. His feet were set.
Well, Doug, you're 6'4". I think Gavin Newsom's 6'4", by the way. That's a lot of weight falling on that poor little kid. My goodness.
Well, there's a lot
Gavin Newsom can only go to his left.
Good. All right.
At least he went left.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Jim McLaughlin, Doug Collins, appreciate it. We got to leave it there. Up next this morning, Speaker Johnson already battling the left-leaning media who are busy digging up centuries-old dirt in an